The galaxy was shining brighter than ever before. Every star seemed to glow with celebration. The Galactic Council had finally declared peace after centuries of endless wars. Across the great spiral of stars, fireworks burst above alien worlds, and citizens of countless species sang songs of unity. For the first time in many generations, there were no enemy fleets, no occupied worlds, and no orders to attack. The Council had spoken, and the galaxy had obeyed. But not everyone was celebrating. Far beyond the Council's shining worlds, in the dark silence of the outer sectors, a massive human fleet drifted quietly between the stars. There were no fireworks there, no cheering voices, only the low hum of engines and the quiet tension of those who remembered what peace under the Council really meant. Inside the flagship TDS Horizon, Commander Rhea Morgan stood by the viewport. The endless space stretched before her, filled with stars that shimmered like distant eyes. Her reflection looked back at her in the glass, calm, sharp, and thoughtful. Her second-in-command, Captain Aiden Ross, approached slowly. "The Council has sent another broadcast," he said, his voice steady but uneasy. Rhea didn't turn around. "Let me guess. More speeches about peace?" Aiden gave a short nod. "They say the wars are over forever, that every species must now lay down arms and trust in the Council's vision." Rhea finally turned. "Trust," she repeated softly. "That's a word they like to use after every betrayal." Aiden's eyes met hers. He didn't reply, but she could see the same thought in his expression. Both of them remembered what had happened years ago, when the Council promised peace to humanity, then allowed 3 human colonies to be destroyed to maintain balance. The crew of the Horizon still carried the memory of those losses. They had rebuilt their fleets not for war but for protection, because the galaxy had shown them that peace without strength was only an illusion. "Commander," said the communications officer suddenly, "we are receiving a transmission." "An old one. The code is Ancient Terran Military Encryption." Rhea turned sharply. "Ancient? How old?" "Over 200 years, ma'am. No one has used this kind of signal since the first colonial wars." "Put it through," Rhea ordered. The bridge went silent as the faint sound of static filled the air. Then a line of text appeared on the main screen. Only one message. The Council lied. Prepare, no name. No source, no location. Just those 4 words. The bridge crew exchanged uneasy looks. The air felt heavy, as if those words carried a weight beyond their size. Aiden stepped closer to the console. Could it be a trick? Maybe Council propaganda to test our reaction. Rhea frowned. "No, that code is too old, too deep. Whoever sent this knows something the Council doesn't want us to know." She looked again at the message, feeling something stir inside her chest. A memory, maybe, or an instinct. Humanity had been silent for years, staying out of politics, out of alliances. They had built quietly, watched carefully, waited patiently. And now it seemed someone or something wanted them to wake up. "Set a trace on that signal," she said. "Find out where it came from." The officer nodded. "It will take time, ma'am." The signal bounced through dozens of dead satellites and abandoned beacons. "Do it anyway," Rhea replied firmly. "And Aiden, prepare a scouting team. We may need to move soon." Aiden gave a quick nod. "Understood." As he walked away, Rhea turned back to the viewport. Outside, the human fleet floated like silent giants among the stars. Their ships were old but strong, refitted war relics that carried stories of defiance and survival. Rhea knew that peace could be a trap, and she could feel deep in her bones that this message was the first crack in the illusion the Council had built. Hours passed. The Horizon's lights dimmed to night cycle mode. The crew worked quietly at their stations. In the observation deck, Rhea sat alone, staring at a small hologram of Earth spinning slowly in the air before her. So many years had passed since humanity had left that blue planet behind. Some said Earth was now only a symbol, something to remember, not return to. But for Rhea it meant more. It was where everything began, where humans learned to dream and to fight for their survival. A soft voice broke the silence. "Can't sleep again?" Rhea turned to see Aiden standing at the doorway. He carried 2 cups of dark, steaming coffee, one of humanity's oldest traditions that even the stars couldn't erase. She smiled faintly and took the cup. "Sleep feels like a luxury these days. You've been thinking about that message, haven't you?" he asked. Rhea nodded. "Something about it feels real, like a warning." "What if it's nothing?" he said carefully. What if the Council truly means peace this time? Rhea looked out at the stars. Then we'll be ready for peace. But if it's a lie, we'll be ready for that too. Aiden gave a quiet laugh. You always have an answer? Not always the right one, she said softly, her eyes distant. But someone has to make the choice when peace and truth don't agree. The next morning, the communications officer called out with excitement. Commander, we found the origin of the signal. Rhea and Aiden rushed to the main bridge. On the holomap, a single red marker blinked at the edge of the sector. Where is it? Rhea asked. An abandoned colony world, the officer replied. Elysium Prime. It was one of the first human settlements destroyed during the Council's peace restoration campaign 50 years ago. Rhea stared at the name. Elysium Prime, once called the garden world of humanity. It was supposed to be empty now, a lifeless ruin. Prepare a recon ship, Rhea said immediately. I'm going down there. Aiden stepped forward. Commander, with respect, we don't know what's waiting there. Exactly, she said. That's why I'm going. Within hours. A small shuttle detached from the horizon and began its descent toward Elysium Prime. The planet appeared below like a scarred jewel, its surface dark, with broken cities buried under layers of ash and dust. The once green forests were gone, replaced by endless plains of gray stone. Rhea and her small team stepped onto the ground wearing light armor suits. The air was thin but breathable. The wind carried the faint sound of something, metal creaking maybe, or old machines still trying to live. Keep your scanners active, Rhea ordered. If that message came from here, there must be something alive, or something still working. They moved through the remains of a once great human city. Towers lay in pieces. Streets were filled with broken vehicles. On the walls, faded banners still showed the emblem of the early Terran colonies, a circle of stars around a blue earth. As they reached what looked like an underground facility entrance, their scanners detected energy, weak but active. Commander, said one of the engineers, there's power coming from below. Maybe a communications relay. Let's find it, Rhea said. They entered the facility carefully. The hallways were cold and dark, lit only by their helmet lights. Dust floated through the air like memories. Finally, they reached a sealed door with a flickering panel. Rhea brushed off the dust and entered a manual override code. The door opened slowly, revealing a large chamber filled with glowing stasis pods. Aiden's eyes widened. Are those people? Rhea stepped closer. Inside the pods were humans, dozens of them frozen in time. Their bodies showed strange markings, traces of alien technology fused with their skin. One of the pods suddenly flickered. Its power core hummed weakly, then the stasis field deactivated. A woman inside gasped for breath as her eyes opened for the first time in decades. Who are you? Rhea asked gently. The woman looked around in confusion. Her voice trembled. They said, the Council brought peace, but we saw what they did here. We tried to warn everyone. Rhea's heart pounded. You sent the message? The woman nodded slowly. Yes, the Council never ended the war. They only changed it. Rhea exchanged a look with Aiden. The truth was beginning to surface, and it was darker than she had imagined. As they helped the survivor out of the pod, Rhea looked around at the others still frozen, still waiting. She whispered to herself, peace built on silence always breaks. And far above Elysium Prime in the cold of space, the horizon waited, its engines quiet, its crew unaware that humanity's long slumber was about to end. The cold air of Elysium Prime was heavy with silence. Commander Rhea Morgan stood in the ancient underground chamber, her breath forming a thin mist inside her helmet. Around her, the faint blue glow of the stasis pods painted ghostly lights on the metal walls. Each pod held a person, humans who had been asleep for half a century, trapped between life and death. One survivor now sat weakly on a metal bench. Her name, as the records later revealed, was Dr. Lena Voss, a scientist from the early colonial age. Her voice was tired but steady. We were told the Council wanted peace, she said, eyes unfocused. They said we were helping create harmony. Through science. Rhea knelt beside her. What kind of science? Dr. Voss hesitated. They wanted to understand humanity, to make us easier to guide, easier to control. We discovered they were changing our DNA using alien sequences. When we tried to stop them, they destroyed the colony. A heavy silence fell over the group. Even Aiden Ross, usually calm and disciplined, could not hide his anger. They used people as experiments, he said quietly. And called it peace, Dr. Voss nodded slowly. We sent a warning to Earth, but the Council blocked the signal. I thought it was lost, Rhea exchanged a look with Aiden. It reached us, she said, and now the truth will too. Outside, gray clouds rolled over the sky. The ruins of Elysium looked endless, cracked towers and silent roads stretching far beyond the horizon. The storm winds carried dust that shimmered faintly like forgotten ash. As the team returned to their shuttle, Rhea's thoughts were racing. She could not stop thinking about those words, make us easier to guide. For years, humanity had believed it was free under the Council's peace. But maybe that peace had been built on quiet manipulation. When they reached orbit, the TDS horizon loomed like a metal guardian in the darkness. The moment Rhea stepped onto the bridge, the crew rose to attention. Report, she ordered. Lieutenant Kareem, the intelligence officer, saluted. Ma'am, our scans show hidden data archives under Elysium's surface. The Council left them sealed. We may be able to recover them remotely. Do it, Rhea said, and prepare medical care for Dr. Voss and the others. I want them safe. As the team worked, Aiden came to her side. If the Council really did this, the galaxy deserves to know. But if we reveal it now, they'll call us traitors. Rhea looked at the holographic map of the stars above the command table. Small blue lights marked Council worlds. Red lights marked the human sectors. The distance between them looked small, but the truth that separated them was wide as eternity. Maybe it's time they call us whatever they want, she said softly. Truth is worth the cost. A day later, the ship's AI confirmed the data extraction. Commander, the voice said, calm and precise, we have uncovered encrypted records labeled Project Harmony. Rhea leaned forward. Play it. A series of holograms flickered to life. Images of laboratories, humans inside glass chambers, alien scientists observing with emotionless eyes. A voice, deep and formal, spoke over the images. Project Harmony will ensure all species align with the Council's ideals. Human adaptability makes them ideal subjects. Their emotional complexity will be adjusted for stability. Peace will be achieved through guidance, not choice. The bridge fell silent. Aiden's hands clenched at his sides. They tried to change who we are. Rhea's face was calm, but her eyes were cold. Not just tried, she said. They succeeded, at least for a time. That's why they feared us uniting again. The crew said nothing more. Everyone knew what this meant. The Council's peace had been built on control, and humanity's independence was the one thing they could not allow. Rhea turned to the communications station. Prepare a secure channel to all Terran colonies. I want every governor and fleet captain to see this proof. Quietly, no open broadcasts. Not yet. Yes, Commander. Later, in her private cabin, Rhea recorded a message. The small recorder blinked softly in the dark. This is Commander Rhea Morgan of the Terran Defense Union, she began. We have found evidence that the Galactic Council's peace is a lie. They experimented on humans, erased our history, and silenced our warnings. We will not be silent anymore. She paused, thinking of the generations who had grown up under the Council's rule, believing the war was over. We must be careful, she continued. We are not seeking war. We are seeking truth and justice. When the message was sent, she sat back and closed her eyes. For the first time in years, she felt the weight of command not as a burden, but as a purpose. Over the next few weeks, small whispers began to spread among human worlds. Merchant ships carried quiet rumors. The Council's peace is built on lies. No one spoke openly, but old alliances began to stir. Colonies that had once refused to speak to Earth now sent secret messages of support. Meanwhile, on the Council's capital world, Varathus, the news reached the chambers of the High Council. A group of tall alien figures sat around a shining round table. Their eyes glowed softly as they read the reports. The head speaker, Counselor Varakesh, clicked his claws together in irritation. These humans are restless again, he hissed, always doubting, always questioning. Another counselor, Saren Veal, replied calmly, They are dangerous because they remember. Perhaps it is time to remind them who maintains peace. Varakesh leaned forward. Prepare a statement. Tell the galaxy that the Council's surveillance ships detected human military buildup. We will call it a precautionary patrol. Saren hesitated. And if humanity refuses inspection? Varakesh's eyes narrowed. Then we remind them why they accepted peace in the first place. Back on the horizon, the crew was busy analyzing more data. Strange symbols appeared in the files, coordinates pointing to other worlds. Some were human, others alien, each one marked with the same code: Harmony test sites. "Commander," said Kareem, "it looks like there are more places like Elysium." The Council hid their work all across the galaxy. Rhea studied the map. "Then we'll uncover every one of them." Aiden frowned. "That could mean war." Rhea's answer was steady. "Then we'll fight a war of truth, not conquest." 2 days later, the horizon approached the first set of coordinates, an asteroid base drifting near the edge of an unclaimed system. The station was abandoned, its lights flickering weakly. The team landed and explored. Inside, they found old records and strange machines filled with faintly glowing liquid. When Rhea touched one of the control panels, it powered on and projected an image: a human soldier standing beside alien officers, both surrounded by data screens. The soldier spoke in a broken voice. "They promised peace, but we gave them everything and they took our minds." Then the recording ended. Rhea stood still for a moment, staring at the empty air where the image had been. "Enough hiding," she whispered. "It's time the galaxy sees the truth." That night she gathered her senior officers in the strategy room. The holographic map now showed a network of red lines connecting the hidden test sites. "This," she said, pointing at the map, "is the real face of peace. Every site holds proof, every file tells the same story." Aiden looked thoughtful. "If we release all of this, every alien government under the Council will demand answers. The Council won't be able to control the reaction." "Exactly," Rhea said. "The truth will divide them before they can move against us." She paused, then added quietly, "But we must be ready. Once they know we found this, they'll come for us." The officers nodded. They knew the risk, but none hesitated. Humanity had lived too long in silence. Weeks later, the first official broadcast from the horizon went live across hidden human channels. A simple message appeared on thousands of screens. "The Council lied. They shaped your peace from our pain. Humanity remembers, and will not be silent." The words spread like fire. On mining worlds, workers stopped their drills to listen. On colony ships, captains replayed the message again and again. Even on alien planets, some began to question what they had always believed. The Council tried to deny it, but whispers had already grown into waves. In her quarters, Rhea looked out at the stars once more. They no longer felt distant. They felt alive, waiting. She remembered the faces of the people frozen on Elysium, the voice of Dr. Voss and the soldiers who had left their last message in the dark. Aiden entered quietly. "The fleet is ready, Commander. Orders?" Rhea turned, her expression calm but strong. "We move toward the next site. If the Council wants peace, they'll find it only through truth. Humanity will not bow again." As the Horizon's engines roared to life, thousands of other Terran ships began to awaken across the sectors. Old signals came alive. Banners long hidden began to shine again. For the first time in generations, the stars felt like home to humanity, not as servants of peace, but as guardians of justice. And far away in the golden halls of Verathis, the Council felt the first quiet tremor of fear. The stars glowed faintly outside the viewport of the TDS horizon. Commander Rhea Morgan stood silently, watching their light as her mind replayed everything that had happened since the discovery of Elysium Prime. Humanity had seen the truth at last. The message had spread through the colonies like a storm, and now the calm before the storm was ending. The bridge doors opened, and Captain Aiden Ross entered, his face serious but steady. "Commander, transmissions are coming in from multiple human fleets. They're requesting orders." Rhea turned to him. "How many fleets?" 13 so far. The colonies on Vega, Titan, and the Eastern Rim all confirmed their allegiance to the Terran Defense Union." For a long moment, Rhea said nothing. She remembered when humanity was scattered, broken by war and forced to obey the Council's terms. Now at last they were uniting, why, not to conquer, but to stand together. "Patch me through to the captains," Rhea ordered. The screen flickered, revealing dozens of faces, men and women from across human space. Some wore old uniforms, some wore mining suits, some looked tired, but their eyes all carried the same light, hope mixed with resolve. Rhea straightened her posture and spoke calmly. "Captains of humanity," she began, "we have lived too long under false peace. The Council promised unity, But they built their peace on control. They changed our people, silenced our history, and erased our voices. The bridge crew watched as her voice spread through the speakers across the fleet. "We are not rebels," Rhea continued. "We are the children of Earth, the first to reach the stars. We do not seek war, but we will not live as slaves to a lie. From this moment we fight not to destroy but to free, to uncover every secret the Council has buried." The captains nodded one by one. The transmission ended, but the message carried far beyond the screens. Across distant worlds, humans began to move. Engineers reactivated old warships, soldiers cleaned rusted armor, and scientists searched for hidden archives. The spark of judgment had been lit. Meanwhile, deep within the Council capital on Varathis, panic began to spread in the golden chambers of power. The High Council had received Rhea's message, and the truth within it could not be ignored. Councillor Verakesh, the tall insectoid leader, slammed his clawed hand on the table. "They are spreading lies across the stars. The human commander must be captured before this grows any larger." A smaller alien, Councillor Terran V, tried to remain calm. "We cannot attack them openly," he said. "The other species have seen the evidence. If we strike now, they will suspect we are hiding something." Verakesh hissed in frustration. "Then what do you suggest?" Terran hesitated. "We create a different story. We will accuse humanity of stealing forbidden technology. We will say they are building weapons to destroy us all." The chamber murmured in agreement. Lies were the Council's oldest weapon, but this time their lies would face something stronger: truth. Back on the horizon, Rhea sat in the strategy room with her senior officers. A large holographic map floated in the air, showing the Council's major outposts. Lieutenant Kareem pointed to one glowing point near the center. "This is the communication hub at Vandora Station. It controls most of the Council's data channels. If we can access it, we can broadcast the truth to every world in the galaxy." Aiden frowned. "That's deep inside Council territory. We'd have to cross 3 patrol zones." Rhea's eyes narrowed slightly. "Then we'll do it quietly. We don't need to fight our way through. We just need one good chance." She paused and looked at her team. "This mission is not for conquest. No unnecessary battles. We go to reveal the truth." "Understood?" "Understood, Commander," they replied. Hours later, the Horizon left orbit, its engines glowing softly as it slipped into faster-than-light travel. The stars stretched into lines of light as the ship vanished into the dark void. Inside, the crew worked with quiet focus. Everyone knew the risk. If the Council discovered their plan, they would face overwhelming force. But for the first time, fear did not control them. As they approached the Vandora sector, Aiden entered the bridge. "Commander, long-range scans detect a Council patrol ahead, 2 cruisers and a scout ship. Distance? 8 light minutes." "They haven't seen us yet," Rhea thought for a moment. "Divert power to the stealth field. We'll drift past them. No weapons, no signals." The ship went dark, its lights dimming until only a faint red glow remained. The engines slowed, and the Horizon moved silently through the black sea of space. The Council ships passed in the distance like shadows. For a tense minute, the crew held their breath. Then the danger passed. Aiden let out a slow sigh. "That was close," Rhea smiled faintly. "Peace may be quiet, but survival requires silence too." After several days of travel, the Horizon reached the outer edge of the Vandora system. Before them floated the massive Council communication hub, a structure larger than any city, covered in bright energy towers and shield domes. "This is it," Kareem whispered. "If we can upload the data here, the whole galaxy will see what they've done." Rhea nodded. "Prepare infiltration drones. We'll keep the ship hidden behind the asteroid belt. Once the data uploads, we'll leave immediately." The small drones detached from the Horizon, flying silently toward the station. Each carried fragments of the files from Project Harmony, along with Rhea's recorded message. Minutes passed. Then an alert flashed. "Commander," said the communications officer, "the station has detected something. They're scanning the area." "Pull the drones back," Rhea ordered quickly, but it was too late. The station's defenses came alive and beams of light spread across the void. One drone was destroyed instantly. Another barely escaped. "Council patrols incoming," Aiden shouted. "They've launched interceptors." Rhea's voice stayed calm. "Bring the ship around. Activate shields. Prepare for evasive maneuvers." The dark space exploded into motion as the Horizon moved through incoming fire. Bright flashes painted the stars. The Council ships were fast and precise, but the Horizon's crew fought with discipline. "Return fire," Rhea commanded. "Target their engines only." Energy beams shot out, striking the Council ships with careful aim. One enemy cruiser spun out of control, its thrusters flickering. The other retreated, afraid of total destruction. Within minutes, the battle was over. The Horizon had taken damage, but they were still flying. "Status?" Rhea asked. "Minor hull breach on Deck 3, but no casualties," Kareem reported. Rhea looked at the flickering hologram of the Vandora station. "We failed to upload the full message," he said quietly. Rhea shook her head. "Not failed, delayed. The Council knows we're coming now, and they'll know why." That night, as the ship drifted in the quiet of space, Rhea sat alone in her quarters. She replayed the battle in her mind. The flashes of light, the cries of her crew, the voices of the past calling for justice. A soft knock came at the door. It was Aiden. "Permission to speak freely?" "Always," she said. He stepped in and leaned against the wall. "You've started something, Rhea. Something the galaxy can't ignore anymore. The Council will come after us harder than ever." Rhea looked up. "I know, but are you ready for what comes next? When they call us enemies of peace?" Rhea smiled faintly. "Let them. Peace built on lies isn't peace. It's silence, and silence ends today." Aiden looked at her with quiet respect. "Then we stand with you. All of us." She nodded, her eyes steady. "Then we move forward. Humanity has been patient long enough." The next morning, new reports came from the colonies. Across the galaxy, humans were rising, not in rebellion, but in unity. Old ships were being repaired, old flags were flying again. The message of truth had already spread far enough to awaken millions, and on alien worlds, whispers began to spread. Some non-human citizens, once loyal to the Council, started questioning their leaders. If they lied to humans, one alien asked, what did they lie to us about? The Council's control began to weaken. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy trembled, not because of war, but because of truth. Later, Rhea stood before the main viewport once more. The stars looked the same as always, but to her they felt different. Alive, watching, waiting. She placed a hand on the glass and whispered, "They called it peace. But peace without justice is only sleep. It's time the galaxy wakes up." The Horizon turned toward the next system, its engines lighting the darkness. All around the galaxy, human fleets began to move, silent but unstoppable. The spark of judgment had become a flame. And as the Council gathered its armies in fear, humanity's voice echoed once more across the stars. "We do not seek your peace. We bring truth, and with truth, judgment." The stars above the capital world of Verathis shimmered like distant eyes watching history unfold. The Galactic Council believed it had seen every kind of war, every kind of rebellion, but what approached them now was something different. It was not a war of chaos, it was a storm of purpose. From the command deck of the Terran flagship Resolute Dawn, Commander Rhea Morgan stood tall, watching the holographic display of Verathis spinning before her. Around her, quiet officers worked, their faces calm yet determined. No one spoke loudly. There was no need for shouting. Humanity had waited for this moment for generations. "Status report," Rhea said softly. "Fleet Alpha in position. Fleet Beta hidden behind the second moon." Her tactical officer replied. "Council defense satellites disabled. They still believe their sensors are working." Rhea gave a small nod. "Good, keep all weapons cold until my signal. We are not destroyers. We are judges." Outside, thousands of human ships moved like a dark wave. Their lights dimmed, their drives silent, they encircled Verathis from every direction. The Council's guards had no idea. They believed the humans were still scattered, still rebuilding, still weak. But the truth was about to strike. Inside the Grand Tower of the Council, the alien leaders were in emergency session. The great chamber glowed with blue light from floating crystals. Representatives of dozens of species argued across the circular hall. "The Terrans are preparing for war," shouted one reptilian delegate. "We must strike first before they reach our worlds." Another, a soft-voiced aquatic being, raised her fins. "No, we must speak with them. The Council's peace must hold. Violence will destroy everything we built." From the highest seat, High Chancellor Veloth, an ancient creature with silver skin, spoke. "The humans cannot defeat the Council. We will show them reason. We will remind them that peace is our law." But before the chamber could calm, every crystal in the room flickered. The holograms turned to static. Then suddenly the face of a human woman appeared on every screen across Varathis, on every world linked to the Council's network. It was Rhea Morgan. Her eyes were steady. Her uniform bore no medals, no symbols of power, only the flag of old Earth. "People of the galaxy," she began, her voice calm and clear. "You call it peace, but what you built was silence. You silenced truth, silenced pain, silenced justice. Humanity remembers." The chamber went silent. Every alien watched in shock as her message echoed through the halls. "The Council declared peace after burning our colonies. You erased our worlds from maps and called it mercy. You enslaved generations of humans in secret laboratories and called it protection. But we survived. We learned, and now we return, not as conquerors but as witnesses." Gasps filled the council chamber. Some delegates shouted for the transmission to be cut, but it was impossible. The signal came from hundreds of different sources. "We do not seek revenge," Rhea continued. "We seek truth. And truth is not peace, it is justice." Then the screen went black. Moments later, the sky above Varathis lit up. Not from fire, but from light. Thousands of Terran ships uncloaking at once. The stars seemed to move as the fleet surrounded the planet. Panic swept through the city. The Council's defense forces scrambled ships into orbit, but before they could fire, their weapons went dark. Human technology, evolved from decades of exile, was precise and silent. Within minutes, every orbital cannon and missile system was disabled. Not a single shot was fired by humanity. On the resolute dawn, Rhea watched the reports appear one after another. Defense grid neutralized. Orbital fleet disabled. No casualties. Her officers turned toward her. "Commander, they are defenseless." Rhea nodded slowly. "Good. Open a channel." She looked into the camera again. Her image appeared before the council once more. "High Chancellor Valoth," she said, "this is not war. This is judgment. Humanity will not destroy your cities, but your lies will no longer rule this galaxy." Valoth, trembling, answered, "Commander Morgan, you are breaking the peace." Rhea's voice was quiet but firm. There was no peace, only silence forced by fear. And fear ends today. On the surface of Varathis, citizens, alien and hybrid alike, ran through the shining streets confused but unharmed. No explosions came. No human soldiers landed. Instead, drones descended gently from the sky, projecting recordings, evidence gathered by Rhea's team. The drones showed hidden archives, images of human colonies destroyed under council orders, secret experiments where human children were tested to create weapons, messages signed by the very same leaders now hiding in their chambers. Across the city, people watched in disbelief. Protests began. Citizens shouted for truth. Council guards were overwhelmed not by violence but by their own people demanding answers. In the command hall of the Resolute Dawn, Rhea stood beside her communications officer. "Send the final message," she said. The officer nodded. "Message ready, Commander." "This is Rhea Morgan of the Terran Defense Union," her broadcast said. "We come with proof, not with fire. The Council of Varathis is charged with betrayal of peace, crimes of silence, and the theft of truth. We will not erase you as you tried to erase us. Instead, you will stand before the galaxy and answer." As the message spread, other species began to rise. On far worlds, planets once ruled harshly by the Council, resistance movements declared independence. Old flags once hidden flew again. Some alien commanders even turned their fleets to join the humans, saying, "If the Terrans can stand for justice, so can we." In the council chamber, Valoth looked out the window at the human fleet glowing above his world. His advisors panicked. "We must surrender," one cried. Valoth lowered his head. "No," he said softly. "We must face them." He pressed a button and opened a communication line to Rhea's ship. "Commander Morgan," he said slowly, his voice weary. "Perhaps we were wrong." Rhea watched his image appear before her. His old eyes met hers through the screen. "Yes," she said, "perhaps you were. But now you will make it right." The Council officially surrendered within hours. Rhea ordered her fleets to stand down and remain in orbit as peacekeepers, not conquerors. Human troops landed not with weapons drawn but carrying relief supplies. They helped restore order, protected civilians, and treated the wounded from riots that had broken out among the confused population. Many aliens looked at the humans in disbelief. They had been told humans were monsters of war, full of rage and destruction. But now they saw them helping strangers, offering water and medicine. The lies began to crumble. Rhea stood on the balcony of the Verathis Tower looking over the endless city. The golden light of the twin suns bathed the horizon. She spoke quietly to her second-in-command, Captain Ilias. "Do you think they will understand?" she asked. Ilias looked down at the crowds gathering below, some waving human flags beside alien banners. "Maybe not today," he said, "but they will. You showed them that justice does not come from fear." Rhea smiled faintly. "Justice should never come from fear. It should come from truth." She turned her eyes to the stars, toward Earth, now distant but shining brighter than ever. For the first time in centuries, humanity stood not as exiles or victims, but as leaders in the galaxy. The fleet lights shimmered above, silent guardians of a new dawn. That night, across Verathis, people gathered to watch the sky. No one knew what would happen next. But one thing was clear: the age of lies was over. The narrator's voice closed the scene. When the Council declared peace, they thought they ended war. But peace built on lies can never last. Humanity brought judgment not to destroy, but to remind the galaxy that truth once buried will always rise. And as the stars above Verathis burned bright, the galaxy waited for the dawn that humanity had promised. The first light of the twin suns of Verathis painted the city in gold. For the first time in centuries, the streets were alive, not with fear but with hope. Citizens of many species wandered freely, talking in voices they had once silenced under the Council's watch. Humanity stood among them not as conquerors but as witnesses and guides. Commander Rhea Morgan walked slowly along the balcony of the main tower. Below, human and alien children played together, laughter echoing through the streets. Citizens carried supplies and cleared debris left behind from decades of control and secrecy. It was a day unlike any other. Beside her, Captain Aiden Ross watched quietly. "It's peaceful," he said softly. Rhea nodded. "Yes, but peace built on lies is always fragile. Today is only the beginning." Even as humanity celebrated this hard-won moment, Rhea knew the galaxy was still recovering. The Council's lies had reached far beyond Verathis. Many worlds had been misled for generations. The work of restoring trust and truth would take time, patience, and guidance. Inside the tower, Rhea called a council of leaders, representatives from human colonies and alien worlds who had joined them. The large room hummed with quiet energy as delegates introduced themselves. There were diplomats from Vega, Titan, and many human settlements. Among the alien representatives were former council officers who had seen the truth and chose a new path. Rhea stood at the head of the table. "We have ended the Council's rule," she began. "But ending lies is not enough. We must build a galaxy where every voice can be heard, where peace is not forced, and where truth cannot be silenced." A soft murmur spread across the room. Many were afraid of what this new freedom meant. Others, however, felt hope for the first time. "We will form a new coalition," Rhea continued. "Not a council, not a dictatorship of any kind. Every species, every colony will have a voice. Decisions will be made openly, honestly, and with fairness." One of the alien delegates, a tall, blue-skinned being named Tara Lynn, spoke. "And what of the humans? Will you rule this coalition?" Rhea shook her head. "No. Humanity will guide where it can, but not dominate. Our job is to teach, to protect, to remind the galaxy of its past mistakes. The coalition belongs to everyone." The room fell silent as the words sank in. It was a new beginning, a chance to change history. Outside, human fleets maintained a quiet orbit. Ships that had once hidden in the shadows now patrolled openly, not as weapons of war but as guardians. Their presence reassured citizens and prevented any rogue attacks from those who still clung to old council orders. Commander Rhea Morgan returned to the Resolute Dawn's bridge. Her eyes scanned the holographic map, showing colonies reconnecting, fleets moving to safe stations, and the first communication networks of the new coalition being established. Lieutenant Kareem approached. "Commander, we are receiving requests from previously hidden colonies. Many want to join the coalition. They are asking for guidance, help, and protection." Rhea smiled faintly. "Then we give them all we can. Humanity may have been the spark, but the galaxy itself must carry the flame." Aiden, standing beside her, added, "And what about the council remnants? Do we keep them in custody?" Rhea thought carefully. "Yes, but we will not destroy them. Let them see what their lies have done and let them live with it. That is the judgment they avoided for too long. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the news of humanity's actions spread rapidly. Alien worlds that had been loyal to the Council began questioning everything. For the first time, citizens spoke freely. Scholars studied the evidence broadcast by the Terran fleets. Families found relatives long lost in Council-controlled colonies. Entire systems began to rebuild their societies based on truth rather than fear. Even former Council officers, some who had once trained human colonies for obedience, stepped forward to help. One, Sarenville, approached Rhea personally. "You have shown the galaxy something they did not believe possible," he said. "Peace through truth, not control." Rhea's expression remained calm. "It is not enough to show them. They must live it. Only then will they understand that lies never last." In the city of Varathus, human engineers and scientists worked alongside alien colleagues. Schools were rebuilt. Archives that had been hidden for decades were opened. Libraries filled with knowledge suppressed by the Council were restored. Children of all species learned together, sharing stories of history, courage, and hope. Rhea walked among them, observing quietly. She saw a young human girl teaching a group of alien children to read. Nearby, a young alien boy showed a human child how to operate a small robotic assistant. The future was forming here, in small acts of learning and cooperation. She stopped at a mural painted on the wall of the city square. It depicted a human and an alien shaking hands beneath a shining star. Written beneath were the words, "Truth is the light that guides all." Rhea whispered to herself, "Yes, this is the light we have waited for." The following week, the first official assembly of the Coalition of Free Worlds convened. Representatives gathered not in fear but in mutual respect. For the first time, decisions were made openly. Every vote counted, every opinion heard. Rhea addressed the assembly. "The galaxy has learned that power without accountability is dangerous. Humanity has brought judgment not through war but through truth. Now it is our duty to build together, to ensure that no one can silence justice again." The delegates nodded. A new era had begun. As the sun set over Varathus, Rhea returned to the balcony of the main tower. She watched fleets return to orbit, lights shimmering in the sky like stars of their own. Beside her, Aiden spoke softly. "Commander, the galaxy has changed. Humanity has changed it," Rhea nodded. "Yes, but change alone is not enough. We must nurture it, protect it, guide it without controlling it." A quiet moment passed. Then she added, "The Council declared peace, believing it was the end of war. But humanity brought judgment. And with judgment comes responsibility. This galaxy will not forget." Below them, citizens of Varathus continued their work and play. Laughter, conversation, and the sound of rebuilding filled the air. Humans and aliens walked side by side, sharing meals, stories, and knowledge. A new day had truly begun. In a small room on the outskirts of the city, Dr. Lena Voss, the scientist who had been frozen on Elysium Prime decades ago, looked at a young human child and an alien child learning together. She smiled. "They will grow up differently now," she said to no one in particular. "They will know freedom, choice, and truth. Perhaps this is the galaxy we were always meant to see." Across the stars, other colonies received similar messages. Old ships, once hidden and silent, now sailed openly, carrying supplies, knowledge, and peacekeepers. And in the high towers of Varathus, the Council's leaders remained under observation, learning a hard truth. No lie lasts forever, no secret remains hidden, and no power is greater than justice when humanity decides it is time. As night fell over the twin suns of Varathus, Rhea stood one last time on the balcony. The wind carried a strange, gentle warmth. She felt the weight of her people, the hope of the galaxy, and the memory of generations who had suffered under lies. She whispered quietly, "We came to judge, but we found something greater, hope." Aiden joined her silently. Together they watched the stars glimmer above. For the first time, humanity was not just a survivor. Humanity was a guide, a protector, and a symbol of truth. The galaxy had been given a new dawn. "The Council declared peace," Rhea said softly. "But humanity brought judgment, and with judgment we bring a future worth living." The stars above shone brighter than ever, reflecting the promise of a galaxy no longer ruled by lies, but by truth, unity, and hope.